Ba-da-ba-da. Good morning. Good morning. It's great to stay up late. Good morning. Good morning to you and Steve the cat. Good morning, all my friends out there in tabletop role-playing game land. It is I, your guide to all the tabletop role-playing game nonsense that is affectionately referred to as Get the Hell Out of Here, or the OGGM. I don't think the first one is actually a name. It's Friday the 14th. Blood moon. We had a tornado where I live, a little baby tornado in Ventura, California. How weird is that? And it's time to take a look at what's on the shelves of your friendly local game store. If you're lucky enough to have a friendly local game store, and right off the bat, we've got some pulp action, awesome looking dungeon crawl classic stuff. This is called Dungeon Denzins. And this is from Goodman Games. We got Dungeon Denzins Game Master Screen, and 2-page Dungeon Delve. Dungeon Desmond's runs for $70. The screen runs for $20, and the adventure runs for $16. It's 550 fully developed monsters, plus magic items, plus magic curses, templates, weapons, equipment, aberrations, constructs, monstrosities, all the things, just monsters. When in doubt, make a monster book. I'm working on one right now. So yeah, it's monsters for DCC. I love DCC, but aren't there already enough monsters? I mean, if you're going to buy a monster book, buy my monster book when it comes out, because it'd be, whatever. Just saying. From Metis Creative, we have Historica Arcanum, the Sigil of Jerusalem, and Historica Arcanum, the Era of the Crusades. This is a Dungeons & Dragons 6th edition adventure with massive dungeons, NPCs, something vaguely based upon Jerusalem and the history of the Middle East and that part of the world. And then, of course, the Crusades and how it affected that part of the world. I don't know. It's politics and the Crusades and just maybe. Anyways, if you're looking for a Dungeons and Dragons setting for 6th edition that's dark and gothic and vaguely historical and has nothing to do with what 6th edition is about, if you've got $60 you want to spend, these are each $60. Dark, gothic, grim, deep below catacombs, vaguely connected to the history of Jerusalem and the Middle East. It's as if all the people who were crying and whining about how great 5e was and how great 6e was are looking at it and going, I can't use 6e and make it do X. So I'm going to write a brand new game and try and pound it square peg round hole into 6X, even though 6th edition Dungeons & Dragons is specifically designed for a very specific style of play, and I assume it works if you let it. Maybe you guys would just realize that there are other games out there that are designed to emulate grimdark and is designed to emulate alternative history horror, and you don't have to attach your name to the 6th edition bandwagon in order to try and make some money. You could support the other game systems that actually do what you want it to do, because trying to square peg round hole an idea like this into 6e when 6e is perfect for what it is. I mean, it's a very specific style of game, and it does that very specific style very well, I assume. I doubt I'll ever play 6e. I doubt I'll ever run 6e. But if it's anything like 5e, I can say without a shadow of a doubt that if you run 5e the way it's meant to be run, it worked. It worked. It wasn't Gygax level-based Dungeons & Dragons, but 5e works. And I assume if you run 6e the way it's written, the way it's meant to be played, it works if that's the style of play you want to play. It's not 5th edition. It's not Gygax level-based Dungeons & Dragons, but it is what it is. So just embrace what 6th edition is, or find the system out there that does what you want it to do, instead of trying to make your potentially awesome sounding gothic horror, vaguely based upon Jerusalem history role-playing game connect to D&D. Okay. Wow, where did that come from? Anyway, despite all that, I wish these guys all the luck in the world. I want every independent creator to succeed. You know that. But I've also got my levels of things, and I just find it very interesting that people are like, I love 6th edition. It's everything I wanted the game to be. I want the game to do this, and it's doing this, and I'm finally happy, and Wizards of the Coast is embracing the way the future of the hobby should be, so I'm going to change it. From Goodman Games, we've got some more love for my favorite retro clone. This is Dungeon Crawl Classic Adventures and Dungeon Crawl Classics Adventures Lankmar. Everybody remember Lankmar? So these are all reprints. They're $50 each, or $220 for all of them together. It's the entire series of Tombs of Adventure, including the Lankmar campaign setting that they had their hands on, a whole bunch of adventures, a whole bunch of dungeons, just tons of D20 love. If you love the wackiness that is Dungeon Crawl Classic, this is probably for you. Plus Lankmar, which I don't know if they still have the rights to, but they had it too. You know, Fafford and the Grey Mouser. Who remembers that? From Goodman Games, we have the Planet Purple Dungeon Queen and the Planet Purple Adventure Tomb. This is for $10. And this is for the Purple Planet campaign setting for Dungeon Crawl Classic. Combines the best of DCC and MCC all into one post pulp Ray Bradbury, Edgar Rice Burroughs, Gamma World, Gonzo Space, Thundar the Barbarian campaign setting. I don't know if Purple Planet is supposed to be the home campaign for DCC, but it's definitely got a lot of wacky weirdness, and it's Goodman Games, and I love Goodman Games. So $10 just seems pretty awesome. From Studio 9 Games, we have Die Robot and 101 Hex Encounters for Purple Planet. This is more Dungeon Crawl Classic love for the Purple Planet setting. So basically, we got $10 for an adventure called Die Robot, which I guess it pits your characters against robots, and $13 for a hex crawl that they're adding to the hex crawl that already is Purple Planet. So if you want to explore the wacky, weird, fourth dimensional hyper equations across space, Thundar the Barbarian, Gamma World, retro, pulp, pop, punk, fun, here you go. So basically, it's Dungeon Crawl Classic weeks at your friendly local game store. Dungeon Crawl Classic, Dungeon Crawl Classic, Dungeon Crawl Classic, whatever this is, and Dungeon Crawl Classic. There you go. I mean, what else is yours to say? Just ignore this. Because, yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I've said what I'm going to say, but the rest of these look awesome. You know, if I was going to start a different game over from scratch, and I wasn't trying to design my own and using Shadowdark so much, I'd run DCC. I'd need a year to figure out all the mechanics because it is wacko. But yeah, it's you know, a love letter to Ardor and Gomorrah, and it's a love letter to the gonzo role-playing style of the 80s and 90s that was very popular where I lived in Southern California. So of course I love anything that has to do with DCC and Goodman Games. So there you go. That's everything on the shelves of your friendly local game store. If you're lucky enough to have a friendly local game store that supports friendly local gaming and hasn't converted to just selling magic cards and Funko Pops. That's it for this week. I apologize if my little rant on Sigil of Jerusalem upset anybody. Metis Games, ignore everything I just said. I wish you all the luck in the world in finding your spot in the tabletop role-playing game hierarchy and making as much money as you can. Support independent creators, even if those independent creators are making stuff for 5e or 6e. Because maybe we can show people that, hey, D&D, you don't have to be this homogenized whatever it is, and people actually just want classic Gygaxian level-based generic system called D&D where they can play out whatever fantasy they want, which is what it should be, right? There should, you know, 6th edition should be a system that lets you do this or this instead of what 6th edition is. Not to say that 6th edition doesn't work. Again, it does, if that's what you want to play. But it doesn't let you play this, and it doesn't let you play this. And it should. Anyways, that's it for today. If you appreciate the nonsense that comes out of my mouth, let me know. If you think I should shut the fuck up and never talk about this ever again, let me know. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe yet, you know what to do. Subscribe, like, share. Check out my merch down below. All my products are on sale this month. And stay safe out there. The weather is wacky.
dragons, the news we crave. Under neon lights we take a stand.